We're talking baseball here on the Baseball Talk Radio Show.
And hello and welcome to the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm your host, Gary Mack, and we'll take a look around the world of baseball and everything that's going on with it. Sorry I missed last week, but, sometimes things happen and we can't always do what we'd like to do. But we're back this week. Back with a great show, and I hope that you will enjoy it. And just keep those cards and letters coming in, folks, because we love to hear from you. All right, so the races are getting crazy in baseball now. And we're going to talk about some of that and some of the teams that have made a rush, and some of the teams that have fallen out of the races, mainly the Washington Nationals. Now, the Washington Nationals, everybody picked them to win the National League East, and they have been a failure all year. In fact, they're barely, they're not even at 500. They're below 500, and they have not been good. They have great pitching, but they have had injuries all season, and they began the sell-off. As this week, they traded Daniel Murphy on a waiver deal to the Chicago Cubs. They also unloaded first baseman Matt Adams to the St. Louis Cardinals in separate deals. The Nationals received infielder Andrew Monasterio and a player to be named later or cash considerations from the Cubs for Murphy. And Adams was sent to the Cardinals in exchange for cash considerations. Now, there are rumors that Bryce Harper was also claimed on revocable waivers, but he will stay put, according to a report from John Heyman. It seemed as if the Dodgers was the team that claimed Harper, but I guess they couldn't work out a deal. So Harper will stay with the team, and of course he's a free agent at the end of the year. So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up next year. If not, this could be a move by the Nationals to clear cash space and to gain cash to sign Harper. But I got to tell you, they've got a lot of holes on that team. We didn't think they did. But when you watch them now, they're not the same team. Okay, I know they beat the Mets today 15-0, but they've lost 3 games in a row before that and had not scored a run. So, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets. So, I don't know. It just is not the same team. And you got to wonder whether Dave Martinez's job is in jeopardy. First-time manager, came to a team that won the NL East last year, got knocked out in the playoffs under Dusty Baker, but they did make it to the playoffs. And now this year, they're not even close to the wild card. So, I mean, they need a miracle in September to get back into this wild card race. I think they're 8.5 out of the wild card at this particular time. Can they do it? Sure. Anything's possible. But it's going to be really, really, really tough. So they could be out, and, Dave Martinez could be in trouble out there in Washington. That'll be all in the offseason. But another team that's been red hot in the American League since July the 10th is the Oakland A's. Yes, the Oakland A's. They vaulted from 10 games behind the Houston Astros to a tie atop the divisional standings on August 18th. And now they're about a game and a half. Well, let me check. They're a game and a half behind, but I mean, it was, they were battling for that wild card spot, and then all of a sudden they got red hot, vaulted to the top, were in a tie with the Astros, and now, of course, they're coming back down to earth as they have fallen slightly to a game and a half, but they've got a firm grip on the wild card. So the Oakland A's, and this is a team with a payroll of $79,105.49, edging only the Chicago White Sox and Tampa Bay Rays. 10 rostered A's earned $555,000 or less, or slightly above the MLB minimum. That's why tying the well-paid world champions, especially this late in the season, is spectacular. At first glance, it appears that manager Bob Melvin is working magic tricks with a roster full of journeyman has-beens and never-will-be's. Edwin Jackson, the 34-year-old right-hander, deemed expendable in a dozen previous stops, jumped into the Oakland rotation as well as its record book, tying former Oakland pitcher Octavio Dotel by playing for the most different teams, 13 in baseball history. Trevor Cahill, another veteran unwanted elsewhere, suddenly discovered the fountain of youth and posted his fifth win by manhandling Houston last week. The team has tried 31 different pitches and has gotten consistent success from only one of them, Sean Manaea. So far, the 6'5 left-hander, just 19-19 in two previous seasons, even pitched a no-hitter along the way. They have a very good bullpen headed by Blake Trinan, who has 32 saves, and they made it better when they traded for Jeurys Familia. And in a trio of August waiver deals, they obtained Fernando Rodney and setup man Sean Kelly from Washington and starter Mike Fears from Detroit. General manager Billy Beane, usually a seller at the deadline, did well in his new role as a buyer. So this is a year when the A's celebrated their 50th anniversary of their arrival in the Bay Area. Beane is doing his best to help his club find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And they have some good young players there. But however they've done it, they're doing it with mirrors or whatever. But they are quite the success story this year in Major League Baseball, and who knows what could happen in a short playoff. They'll, if they do not win the division, then they will have to go to the wild card game, and they'll play the Yankees, it looks like, as of right now in the wild card game. The Yankees are only 6.5 games out of first place, though, so they could still catch the Red Sox. So we'll see what happens there, but it looks like right now would be the Yankees and the Oakland A's in the wild card game in the American League. So that could be an interesting setup. All right, let's take a look at injuries around baseball, as there's a lot of them. Buster Posey announced Friday that he will undergo season-ending hip surgery on Monday that he hopes will help him again regain his full range of skill as a hitter. The procedure could delay the start of Posey's participation in the 2019 season. Posey said that Dave Groshna, the Giants' senior director of athletic training, told him that he could be sidelined for 6 to 8 months. Posey will undergo the procedure in Vail, Colorado. It will be performed by Dr. Mark J. Phippen, a renowned hip surgeon. Posey acknowledged that he'll undergo a labral repair and the removal of a bone spur in his right hip. He attributed his ailments to the cumulative wear and tear of catching and not to any particular incident. He just played this past week. The Giants were in New York playing the Mets, and he played 2 out of the 3 games, or 2 out of the 4 games. And I was a little surprised when I read this because it didn't look like there was anything, out of the ordinary. But he's going to be done for the season. So Posey's out, and I guess that'll cook the Giants for the rest of the way. The Cubs ruled out right-hander Yu Darvish out for the remainder of the season after an MRI exam revealed a stress reaction in his right elbow, with Darvish to be shut down for 6 weeks as a result of the ailment. He removed himself from a minor league rehab start for Class A South Bend last Sunday after pitching just one inning. He shook his arm as he left the field after wincing through 6 warm-up pitches prior to the second inning. Darvish had been scheduled to throw 3 innings in his recovery from right triceps tendonitis that sent him to the 10-day disabled list on May 23rd. The Yankees placed shortstop Didi Gregorius on the 10-day disabled list with a left heel contusion. The move is retroactive to August 20th. Infielder Luke Vogt was recalled from AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre to fill the spot. Gregorius is hitting .270 with 22 home runs and 74 RBI in 118 games this year. He was hurt last Sunday as he hit a first-inning infield RBI single that gave the Yankees a 2-1 lead in a game they went on to win. As he touched first base, he collided with first baseman Kendrys Morales of the Blue Jays, and Gregorius fell down. Jose Altuve was activated from the 10-day disabled list and rejoined the Houston Astros for their game against the Seattle Mariners this week. In corresponding moves, the team selected the contract of left-hander Framber Valdez and option outfielder Kyle Tucker and lefty Cionel Perez to AAA Fresno. Chicago White Sox manager Rick Renteria was released from Minneapolis Hospital and he did miss 2 more games, the club announced. He is back with the club now. He was taken to Hennepin County Medical Center prior to last Monday's road game against the Twins after feeling lightheaded. Bench coach Joe McEwen will run the club during Renteria's absence. The team didn't divulge a diagnosis but said Renteria will undergo further testing at Rush University Medical Center after he returns to Chicago on Wednesday. And, of course, the results seem to be negative, just some sort of dehydration or flu. Miami Marlins pitcher Jose Arena dropped his appeal after being suspended for 6 games for intentionally hitting Atlanta Braves rookie Ronald Acuna Jr. with a pitch during the game last week, per multiple reports. And, of course, that pitch touched off quite a brawl between the Marlins and the Athletics, and they don't really care for each other that much to begin with. So this just added to the fireworks. So that'll be a couple of teams to watch coming down the stretch, as they should play each other a few more times as they are in the same divisions. And another team making a lot of noise is the Cardinals in the National League Central. The Cardinals have the best record in the National League since mid-July, which is making everybody stand up and take notice. This comes after the managerial change. They have won 24 of 35 games and lately 16 of 20. They appeared to be headed for a third dark October, but they've been turning it around and are back in the race. So they could still be alive in this, as they are closing in on only 4 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals, are behind the Cubbies. So they could make this an interesting race going down to the wire. Mike Shildt is the Cardinals manager. He replaced Mike Matheny 35 games ago, precisely when the Cardinals went and won those 24 of 35. They've done nothing better. They've done everything better since, and maybe it was coming anyway, though nobody seems to believe that. There are times and places for people and times and places for players, and Mike Shildt and the Cardinals seem to be in right sync together this summer. So sometimes you need a change of scenery, change of manager, shakes it up a little bit, maybe a different viewpoint. Players get tired maybe of another manager, and so it's time to bring in somebody else. All right, that's some of the news. We got some more news. We'll get back to in the rest of the show about what's happening with Major League Baseball and the schedule next year, which is pretty interesting. But let's take a break and be back after this.
We'd love to hear your comments. You can reach Gary at baseballtalkradio.com or me, Rich at baseballtalkradio.com. We'd love to hear your comments, so send them in. Subscribe to the Baseball Talk Radio show on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, or Podomatic.com. This way you'll never miss an episode. Gary, I think I'm going to go over to baseballtalkradio.com and listen to all the baseball talk shows there. Do you think I can cram it all in on a weekend?
No, I don't think so. It's going to take you quite some time, but there's a little bit of everything there. Cover most of the teams and Japanese baseball, fantasy baseball, all there at baseballtalkradio.com, the home of great baseball talk shows. And go check it out. It's a great place. And if you'd like to help us out a little bit, you can go to patreon.com, become a sponsor of the show. Help us out. $2 a month, $1 a month, anything you can give it all would be gratefully appreciated and help us do more of this kind of thing, the video, and expand our capabilities and maybe some on the road surprises in the summertime. So that's patreon.com/baseball talk. Give whatever you can. We'd greatly appreciate it. Please go and help us out.
You're listening to BaseballPodcasts.net.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get a PhD in life through baseball? Welcome to Baseball PhD, a tour company for your brain. 30 major league teams, 100 places to see. Let's touch them all as we make the road trip of a lifetime.
And we're back. Excuse me. And I don't know if you've seen this article, but Major League Baseball is going to return to Monterrey, Mexico in 2019 with 3 different events, including spring training and regular season games. The Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks will play a pair of spring training games on March 9th and 10th. The Cincinnati Reds will host the St. Louis Cardinals for a 2-game regular season set on April 13th and 14th. And the Los Angeles Angels and the Houston Astros will play a 2-game series on May 4th and 5th. Seems like they're doing it early in the season next year. All games will be played at Estadio de Baseball, Monterrey, which is the current home of the Sultanes de Monterrey of the Mexican League. The spring training games in Monterrey will be the first of the 2019 international campaign, which will also include games in Tokyo, Japan, and London, England. Next season's spanning of the globe marks the latest example of the continued collaboration between MLB and the Major League Baseball Players Association to promote baseball around the world. And we now have the official 2019 MLB schedule, which begins with the 2019 Japanese opening series, featuring the Oakland A's hosting the Seattle Mariners at the Tokyo Dome on March 20th and 21st, and the traditional opening day featuring all 30 MLB clubs on Thursday, March 28th. The schedule already has folks buzzing between the March 20 and 21st series in Tokyo and the Minnesota Twins hosting a home opener for the first time in March, the snowiest month of the year in the state. they're begging for a closing game there for snow out in that. Last year saw the earliest opening date in MLB history in 2019. Will beat that record by a day. The 2019 season will mark the second season under the scheduling format agreed to as part of the 2017 to 2021 basic agreement between MLB and the Major League Baseball Players Association. The format, which extends the length of the season by adding an additional weekend of play at the beginning of the season, gives each club 3 to 4 additional off days throughout the season to provide added rest and opportunities for rescheduling. It also pushes reporting dates to around February 12th and the first spring exhibitions around February 20th. For the second consecutive year, all 30 MLB teams are scheduled to play on opening day. The 2018 campaign had been scheduled to be the first season since 1968 that every team across the majors opened on the same date, before 2 weather-related postponements allowed for just 13 of the 15 scheduled games to be played. And do they think it's going to change this year? I don't think so. The 1968 campaign began on Wednesday, April 10th, with each of the 20 major league clubs in action. Additionally, the 2019 season will mark the second straight season and the 13th campaign in history to open on a Thursday. Other seasons to do so include 1901 and 1904, 1907, 1912, 1959, 1973 and 74, 1976 and 2011. Other highlights of the 2019 schedule include 10 games scheduled for Jackie Robertson Day on Monday, April 15th, including the Dodgers hosting the Reds at Dodger Stadium. The first day of the 2019 MLB draft on Monday, June 3rd, will occur when just 3 Major League games are scheduled to be played. The first Major League game ever played in Nebraska, part of the new Geico Summer Series, featuring the host Royals and the Detroit Tigers on Thursday, June 13th, 2 days prior to the start of the 2019 NCAA Men's College World Series. The Los Angeles Angels will visit the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium from June 21st to the 23rd, marking Albert Pujols' return to St. Louis for the first time as a visiting player. Let's see, a historic 2-game set at London Stadium on June 29th, 30th would between the host Red Sox and Yankees in the first ever Major League games played in Europe. So there's some of the highlights of the schedule next year, and they're going to go play overseas, as we said, and pretty crazy stuff. But, you know, this is the way they want to go globally, and it seems like they're going to do it. And I wonder what they're going to do for the DH over there, I guess. Well, in England, it's going to be the Yankees and the Red Sox, so they'll probably have DH. It doesn't look like there's too many interleague games, so we'll see what they do for that. All right, one more quick break, and then we'll come back.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com, along with Mets Musings and other great baseball podcasts.
Okay, and we're back, and let's take a look at the standings, and we'll start in the American League with the Boston Red Sox at 90-42, holding down a 6.5 game lead over the New York Yankees, who play the Baltimore Orioles, I believe it is, tonight. On the ESPN Sunday night game, Tampa Bay is at 70-61. Good year for Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, they're out of the race. They're in a very tough division, but still, nonetheless, a good season for them. Cleveland looks like they've won the Central Division. They've got a 13-game lead over Minnesota, who is at 61 and 69. Cleveland checking in at 74 and 56. Detroit in third place with a 53 and 78 record, and the White Sox and the Royals bringing up the rear. Houston, as we were talking about before, at 80 and 50, and they have a game and a half lead over the Oakland A's at 79 and 52. Over in the National League, Atlanta is hanging in there. They're on top of the National League East with a 73 and 57 record, followed closely 3 games behind by the Philadelphia Phillies at 70 and 60. The Nationals come next at 65 and 66, followed by the Mets and the Miami Marlins. In the Central, the Cubbies are 4 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals, as we mentioned earlier, but 4.5 games ahead of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's still in this race. They're 73 and 59. St. Louis checks in at 73 and 58, and the Cubbies at 76 and 53. Out west, it's a mishmash of really unexpected teams, as the Arizona Diamondbacks are in the lead. They have a 1-game lead over the Colorado Rockies, 72 and 58 for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Rockies are at 71 and 59. The Dodgers are another game and a half, 2.5 back at 70 and 61. So last year's World Series pennant winners, I should say, National League pennant winners, the Dodgers, and World Series contestant, they're currently in third, but they're still in it, 2.5 out, and they could make a run in September at this lead. And if you checked out last week ESPN, you saw that they had the Little League Classic. That's when the 2 teams go to Williamsport and play in the home of the Williamsport Crosscutters, the New York Penn League team of the Phillies. And it's going to return next year, August 2019. And next year, the teams will be the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs will meet at Williamsport's BB&T Ballpark at historic Bowman Field. Major League Baseball is quickly making a tradition of the annual Little League Classic, first held in conjunction with the Little League World Series in August 2017. The Little League Classic features an MLB regular season game played at the home of minor league baseball, as we said, the Williamsport Crosscutters. MLB is already making plans for 2019, as it has been announced that the Pirates and Cubs will play in next year's Little League Classic on Sunday, August 18th. For MLB, this announcement not only solidifies its commitment to the annual event, but also reflects some broader initiatives. The game will air again on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball and ESPN Radio at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The Little League Classic, along with the June 13th matchup between the Royals and Tigers in Omaha, will make up the inaugural Geico Summer Series. The excitement surrounding the Little League Classic can be traced back to the Play Ball initiative, which is supported by Little League International, USA Baseball, USA Softball, Minor League Baseball, and the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and is MLB's largest effort to encourage young people and communities to participate in baseball or softball-related activities. Play ball events have been MLB's signature youth engagement activity during the professional and amateur baseball and softball calendar, including key dates throughout the MLB offseason and into the World Series. This will mark, next year will mark the Pirates' second appearance in the Little League Classic. The club was a participant in the inaugural 2017 edition of the game when it faced the St. Louis Cardinals. Last week, the 2018 edition of the Little League Classic took place on Sunday, featured a matchup between the Phillies and the Mets won by a final score of 8-2, and it was a very exciting game. So it's a pretty cool thing. The Little Leaguers get to go to the game and the players get to the Little League where they're holding the Little League World Series, and they sit in the stands and mingle with the little leaguers, with the big leaguers, and it's really looks like a cool experience. So hats off to baseball for taking an initiative like this. All right, and that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join me next time as we look into more of Major League Baseball on another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. See you then.